The other day, I spoke about manipulative people and shared the strategies on how to handle them effectively. However, I didn't go into details to tell you the personal traits and disciplines you need to develop in order to overcome and outlast a manipulative person. Surprisingly, since posting that very video, I've actually received a wave and loads of messages in my inbox and in the comment section from people who are either trapped in a manipulative relationship or people who have actually encountered and are still traumatized by the experience. In the process, many have actually shared how they have actually applied my advice and how they have been able to attain a level of peace. For the past maybe 2 days, they actually applied the very process and getting the peace that they deserve. But the bottom line is that you don't need to fight manipulative people. You need to be very strategic with them. Before I continue, I would want you to understand that to master the art of overcoming a manipulative or narcissistic person, you must first of all be guided by somebody who has actually experienced it firsthand and conquered them. This is the reason why I wrote this very book in the name of Cultivate. This is an account, a total account of somebody who have actually survived, not just a manipulative person, a weird one at that, a destructive one at that, those who don't just relent, the type that don't just give up very easily, but then I was able to conquer them, or rather her, in the process of bringing my company to life. This is not just a personal encounter, it is actually an encounter that came from a business, because manipulative people are everywhere. It is not only in relationships, it's not only in marriages, as long as you're actually committed to them in whatever way, be it professional or personal. In my own case, this person didn't just target the image and my reputation alone. This person also targeted the business we started together to see that she destroys it. But then at the end, I emerged conquerors. Before I go into the traits and the discipline you need to master in order to conquer and finish a manipulative or a narcissistic person, you need to understand that manipulation is not something people learn. No, they don't learn it. It's actually an ingrained behavior, often stemming from a place of lack of proper guidance during their upbringing. Also understand that manipulation is essentially unharnessed intelligence, a craftiness or cleverness that could have been used for good, but has been twisted for personal gain. Manipulative or narcissistic people prioritize control over integrity. You think it's actually easy to make people go crazy. Manipulative people aim at making you go crazy. They redefine you. They force another identity on you. So it's not something they actually learned somewhere. That is the reason why if you dig into the backgrounds of manipulative people, you get to see that the problem is from the source. Their behavior is often a product of dysfunctional upbringing and unresolved issues from childhood. Now let's discuss the 5 traits and discipline you need to master, you need to develop to resist being consumed by a manipulative person. Number 1, you have to be growth-oriented. You have to be growth-oriented. Being growth-oriented is totally different from being merely ambitious. It means striving for continuous self-improvement emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Growth-oriented people are harder to manipulate because their visions are clear, they know exactly where they are going, and they don't need any form of distractions and won't be easily derailed. Number 2, cultivate patience. Patience is not optional when you're dealing with manipulative or narcissistic people. You will need the discipline to stay calm and composed, even when they try to frustrate or provoke you. If you don't naturally have patience, you start developing it because it's going to be your armor. Number 3, know your self-worth. Very important. Manipulative people always try to redefine who you are, always trying to force another identity of who you are not on you. If you don't have strong sense of self-worth, you might almost start believing them that this is who you are. That is how manipulative they are. They are very crafty. They know how to do these things perfectly. If you're not careful, if you don't have that sense of self-worth, you'll start almost believing their narrative of you. Master the art of self-awareness and confidence to protect yourself from their influence. Number 4, control your anger. Manipulative people know how to push buttons, often provoking anger to manipulate your actions. Many people have actually ended up in prison because they reacted violently to a manipulative person. You don't confront them. Manipulative, narcissistic people, gaslighters, you don't confront them. You use here more than you use your eyes. If you are quick to temper, if you are that easily triggered, you need to master the art of staying calm when you are handling or dealing with a manipulative person. It's not even up for arguments. You need to master it. Number 5, pay attention and collect evidence. This is the most important part. At the end of the day, you need to win. That is the major reason why you are actually keeping calm. That you are staying silent in the face of all these manipulations doesn't mean that you don't know what you are doing or you don't have an exit plan. But before you have an exit plan, you must have evidence. This is why I wrote that book in the name of Cultivate. I dealt with a lot of evidence in that very book. If you actually watch how the manipulative person worked with me, you get to realize that without the evidence, I don't have a say. Nobody will believe me. You have to keep evidence, no matter how unfiltered, no matter how raw, no matter how dirty the evidence are, keep them. It is very important. If you read my book, you get to realize that there are so many unfiltered 18 plus evidence that I kept in that very book. But this is because I was patient enough. I know my self-worth. Even when the narrative about me was totally different from who I am, I know who I am. That is where your self-worth is very important. That somebody called you a goat, you should ask yourself, are you a goat? I know that I'm not what they actually describe me as. That is the reason why in the course of doing those very things, I was keeping evidence. In my last video, I told you that these people are on the path of self-destruction. When they are doing all these things, desperation is involved, frustration is involved. They are clouded by revenge. They are clouded by that manipulative sense. They don't see anything. They don't see anything other than destroying you. So leave them. Don't confront them. Let them do their thing and collect evidence. That is how you strike back. So if you actually master these very disciplines that are actually dished out here, trust me, a manipulative person is a nobody where you are. Understand that manipulation is not an unstoppable force. No, it's not. It's actually a challenge that can be overcome with the right mindset and preparation. Remember, your strength lies in your ability to rise above their tactics, not engaging in their game. Don't confront them. Don't fight them. As long as you've actually mastered these very disciplines, you are good to go. You can get my book in the name of Kaki.ng on Amazon and at the same time on Gigi. Just type in the name of Kaki.ng and you get it. Chew well.